I guess I'm new to the Thinkific course site, and it looks like I set up the information wrong on the course site. So I probably will be switching that around, but regardless, the whole point of that was to make sure there was a place for any sort of information I need to get out there. But I realized that I set it up as a course instead of a community. So sorry about that. I'm in a little bit of a learning mode here. But the most important thing is that you are getting the information you need and not overwhelming. I don't want to overwhelm you. There's way too much information out there that even is free. And so just know that if you ever need something, then you can always ask. So I just, I think you know that by now. So Chris, you got the detox in.
Yes.
Okay, great. So do you want me to walk you through how to do it?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. I'm just like thinking about the timing because um I usually do like drink like something warm in the morning, like I mentioned, like some lemon water, or I just also got some ACV. So I have some medication to take, well, one medication to take in the morning, but they say you have to wait at least 2 hours. So I'm just trying to figure out how to rearrange my day.
So what I would suggest is maybe after lunch, 2 hours after lunch, you finish eating, do it, and maybe just do it once a day.
Hmm.
Yeah, because it's a little tight sometimes in the morning from breakfast to lunch.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think you can eat like 30 minutes after, but in terms of like supplements or
yeah,
medications, you should wait 2 hours.
yes. So yeah, I always suggest to people, once you're done with lunch, you can like finish eating, then just set a timer. Because usually after lunch, most people are not eating for a couple hours. Yeah, we can hold off the snacks. The nuts that we're supposed to get in or whatever it is. um, and I would recommend the 5 days on, 2 days off, if you can. Yeah. Yeah. And then if you do it once a day, there might be days where you do it twice a day. I mean, if you finish dinner and you're like, oh, I want to do a round before I go to bed, then you can. So again, it's you just finish it, you just take it as long as you can until the
Hmm.
supplement. So usually it'll be like 3 weeks if you do it once a day. Yeah. As long as we're getting it done by the summer solstice, we're good. Yeah. Okay. So does anyone
I
have any
have,
questions? Barbara?
yeah. How long do you have to wait between doses? So between the first and second dose,
Are you talking about,
the liver cleanse.
right, but are you talking about the liver sauce and then the binder, or are you talking about doing one round and then waiting and doing another round?
Yeah, the 2 rounds.
Okay, yeah. There's no set on it. I mean, Chris says it would be ideal to have a meal in between. So some people will do it, after breakfast, and then they'll do it after lunch. If and then the people that work the 9 to 5, they'll do it, the second dose, they usually do it after dinner. So yeah. And a lot of people like to just kind of get it done. So kind of just depends, but the way Chris designed it, which is really brilliant, is that it doesn't matter as long as you can try to get it in within 45 days. It's more optimal. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I got 4 more days left on mine, so I'm feeling much lighter. The liver's way better. I'm sure everybody's happier that I'm happier now.
So you can internally feel the difference when you do the liver cleanse.
I'm a wood element. I'm a gallbladder in Chinese medicine. I don't know how much you know. I know you and Chris do qigong, but because that's my, like we call it a causative factor. So the wood element's like my home base. It's where I live my life from. So in the positive and negative, right, aspects of the element, but I feel cleaner and lighter. You know, when I had a really bad car accident last year, I experienced depression for the first time. And I realized, God, depression is such heavy, dark energy. But then I also realized from studying, you know, functional medicine that mold, heavy metals, plastics, I mean, all that's really heavy energy. So this is another reason why in the spring, my God, I mean, I'm sure we all take Advil every once in a while or have a glass of wine, and some of us are on pharmaceuticals, or some of us might do THC. But then even if we don't do any of that stuff, it's environmental. I mean, we filter out water and, you know, water, of course, but like they did studies where people were in traffic, and if you have your windows down, the car exhaust, I mean, you're breathing everything in. So you have to understand that your body is so brilliant at filtering out the toxins, but at the same time, you have to help your body. So that's just what we're doing. And again, I always, like in your report of findings, it's like, I always remind myself it's an oil change to run cleaner and more efficient. You know, I mean, you know, I think the cars now, they're recommending 10,000 miles instead of 3,000. But still, so if you think about your body and how many times, again, we had a glass of wine or we were stressed. And then for women, the liver blood was the menstruation blood. Okay, so there's all these things. And then I think I shared with you guys that the liver, there's an energetics of unexpressed anger towards the masculine, towards father, towards, again, masculine. And so again, we don't have a society where we are able to really express our anger. So again, it gets constrained. So, yeah, I would, you know, there's a lot of use cases, but this is why, you know, in Chinese medicine, every spring, it's like, gosh, you have to support your liver. And for patients that drink regularly or on medications or are going through stress, like they'll do more than one round. And again, I think, you know, you mentioned this, Chris, as far as a hack, a lot of my patients keep a box of push catch and the hemp oil around for like, okay, on Saturday night, if they know they're drinking, they'll just do one round on Sunday morning. You know, they keep it around. And if the products are open, they're ideally they're just as potent 60 days, but after 60 days, you can still use them for 6 months. If they're open, but they just become a little less potent. And when they're unopened, they're always good for 2 years. So that's kind of the standard for supplements, just so you guys know. Yeah.
Are there herbs you can take after I go out and have some wine or something with dinner? Are there
Yeah, of course. So I don't know if you saw, I'll share my screen. Let's see. Here we go. I'll show you the trilogy that I carry in my clinic. And you can buy this off of Fullscript. It is Easy Drink, I think. Let's see. Yeah, Drink Easy. Hilarious, right? So this is milk thistle, bitters, and glutathione. Okay, so if we were to look at what they do, so first of all, I keep these 3 on hand, and if I know I'm going to go drink, then I'll use these just to support the liver. Okay, milk thistle, good for the liver, helps with digestion. This bitter is specifically for, I like it for the gallbladder, but of course it helps with the gut, liver, and kidney, and then glutathione. So you're supporting these pathways, especially the glutathione pathways, with the push catch that you're taking. But this is going to, it's like a scavenger. I always view it as like a Pac-Man. It's going to go ahead and get those free radicals, help with the immune and the energy. So the way to use it, you only do this once. You don't, this is like, you don't have to do this, it's all the time. So as an alcohol, I'm surprised you didn't write this specifically for alcohol. You can do it before, I do it after. So if I remember, and I'm just being super transparent, I don't party too much, but occasionally I might have 3 glasses of wine or 3 beers or something, which is a lot for me. But I will, if I remember when I get home, I'll do 1 round of this. Otherwise I do it in the morning. Okay. I
You
think
have to-
I shared that with you, Barbara, in full script, but if I didn't, I will. I think I did share it with you, Chris, just so you guys can see what it is and what it's doing. And the one thing just to remember is that the reason I use Quicksilver for a lot of things, and the only reason is because of the delivery system, the technology. Because as we get older, or if you have gut issues, we're spending money we're not absorbing all the supplements, especially if they're in a thick or concentrated capsule or pill. So this is an oral IV. It's already being absorbed in the oral mucosa as you're mixing your saliva, which is your DNA, which is connected to your gut microbiome. So you're already starting that process. So it's literally like getting an IV. Okay. So if you ever want to look at the science and geek out, I'm happy to send you a way too long video on how he developed his company and created this delivery system. Because from a marketing standpoint, a lot of people are doing liposomal. This guy's he like created it. He's doing nano. So it can cross the blood-brain barrier. Anyway, so so that's kind of why. It's like I'm willing to spend an extra $10 per supplement, just knowing that I can trust that process. Okay.
Do you take them one at a time then?
Yeah. You just pump, hold, and then 30 seconds and then swallow.
Okay.
Yeah. You occasionally have a glass of wine or something, right, Barbara?
Yeah, and sometimes some bourbon if I can't get to sleep.
Oh, bourbon. Yeah. So that might be good for you to have on hand then.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, and in fact, my parents, not my parents per se, my family though, ever since I got into medicine 20 something years ago, I just tend to give stuff I know everyone needs. So for my friend that drinks too much, I'm like, hey, here, this is a Christmas present for you. Might as well buy them what they need and what they're not going to buy themselves,
Do they use it?
I don't know.
Mhm.
This one cousin I bought a sleep induction mat. It's an acupressure mat. Have you guys seen those?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. You spend $50, you have it for 40 years. It's like, it lasts forever. Painful, but it works. And especially if you have a hard time falling asleep. So I like to have things in my arsenal because I can give you a Delta 8 gummy, like I did with you, Anne, or I can give you like Chinese herbs for sleep or CBD. There's tons of things you can do for sleep, melatonin. But for people that are on like supplements and herbs, I like to minimize the number of capsules, right? Or things that we're having to buy. So the sleep induction mat is like this mat you lie on. And I swear within about a minute, I'm in a different brainwave state and able to sleep. Okay. So I gave this to a cousin of mine who had insomnia. She didn't even try it once. She like gave it to Goodwill. I'm like, oh God. So, you can lead a horse to the river, but you can't make him drink. So what are you going to do? But yeah, if anybody wants a sleep induction mat, let me know. I have them at the clinic. I can also direct you. I really don't like Amazon. I know we all use it, but I really try to do less on Amazon. So that's why I can also direct you to like some other websites if you just want to get it shipped. So little things like that. So this brings me back to that main point of if you're ever wanting something, let me know, because I can at least share with you things like the sleep induction mat, or, or even just not even buying something, like something you can do on your own. Anne came into the clinic and I was able to teach her some practical hands-on things with her body that she could do. So again, depending on what question you have, I can teach you some things even through Zoom.
It's like trying to get people to do Qigong. I found that to be impossible, actually.
Yeah,
No one will even try it.
I know. I know. Well, it's very similar. Like, so I have an outdoor fitness company. I just surpassed my 20th year here in Santa Cruz. And on the holidays, on the main holidays, I teach Qigong because I figured, why not? And everybody loves it. I'll have 40 people out there. Okay. Because they're already kind of scheduled to come. But if I put a Qigong class on the calendar, barely anyone comes. Even though they love it, even though they feel amazing after. Yeah, there's something about that, right?
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. I don't know if I told you this, and I know, Chris, you do Qigong. Anne, have you done Qigong?
Not live, just your online.
Okay. Well, I'm just, that's all I'm doing in the airport. I mean, what else would you do? I'm mainly doing Daoyin, but I mean, whoever I'm traveling with is like, I'm embarrassed, but I'm like, why would I just sit there? I'm constantly doing it. So, I mean, I've gotten to a point now where I'm like, I don't care. People are on their phones hunched over, and I'm like pulling down the heavens and opening Tai Chi, it's like, why not? But I have a feeling when people are stuck somewhere, that's probably where, maybe they're more apt to try it. So I don't know. But yeah, it brings us back to the point of like, we pay to pay attention, right? Like often if it's free, people don't do it, or suggestions, but it's like finding the right relationship, So I always tell people, oftentimes parents, because they're my patients, will hire me for their kids because the parents are not getting anywhere with the kids, right? So it's figuring out your relationship also with someone and understanding to stay in your lane. I learned that the hard way with my family. It's like, they don't want me to be their doctor. They want me to be the youngest child, short, small, and young. So it's like, okay, that's my place, right? So I think it's, as much as you can want something for someone else, yeah, the only thing we could do is become amazing ourselves, and they're gonna do that Harry Met Sally. Oh, I'll have what she's having. So you just got to focus on you, Barbara.
Yeah, I do.
Well, you're doing it.
I had a friend that her sister passed away and she was really struggling with depression. And I told her that that's she said she can't breathe. And I said, yeah, that's, that resides in the lungs, and told her a few things she could do. She said it really helped her.
Oh,
But she won't try a Qigong class. I know it would help her overall.
Yeah.
So I did have a partial success.
That's great. Yeah, I try to give people, like, there's a lot of different ways to help with depression or the stages of grief, right? Because there's many stages. And so I always tell people, do you want an herb? I mean, microdosing is really popular now for depression, but do you want to talk about it? Do you want to write about it? Do you want to move your body? Like, it's like, where are they feeling comfortable to be with the energy as far as like the first step? And then the next step, right? Yeah. And I think we all have to get creative because we all care about people. We want to help people. It's kind of our nature, right? But if we can, all of us, get better at asking questions and getting more curious and getting creative, even with ourselves. If each of us on this call could get better at facilitating how we're feeling, our emotions, learning how to shift our own states, right? That's where the juice is for me. You know, it's not when we'll get upset or when we're going to have resentment or when someone's going to piss us off, but what tools do we have in this moment? Where, you know, where is the trigger? Where is the pain in this moment? You know, do I have too much energy in my head? Do I have too much energy in my body? Right? Too much energy in my heart, my emotions. So then if you understand the physical, spiritual, mental, emotional levels and be able to assess which level it's on. And then Barbara, for you and Chris, like, you know, understanding the 5 elements, like, oh, could I put that together and understanding the generation cycle or controlling cycle? I don't know if you guys know that actually, but yeah, then you can start to really realize, oh, okay. I mean, this is why I would suggest to all of you having a mantra or having a song or even a playlist, like your go-to. What are the things that you can go to right now to, again, when you're in that moment and you get a frustrating email or text or phone call, you hear the news or, you know, whatever gets us off our state that we actually, our desired state, then what do you know, which tool do you use in that moment to get back? Okay. And again, you know, I give this example a lot with physical energy. It's like when we're tired, right, emotionally or mentally or physically, there's so many ways to get back to that chi circulation. Okay, there's not one way. And so the more that you guys engage and participate in your hour to hour and day to day right now, you are upgrading and fine tuning those tools and actually becoming masterful. Right? It's saying, oh my God, I need to move my body. I get too much energy in my physical. Or I'm too tired. I've been thinking all day. I've been on Zooms or I've been studying. I'm mentally tired. What can I do for that? So again, it's doing that, you know. But if you haven't picked a song to help you change your state, I would definitely have a song on your phone. You know, or a playlist, because that really, I mean, it helps me. I love music. And when I'm like feeling like a victim or feeling defeated or like whatever the feeling is, I can play this song and it will 100% change me. It's like, oh my God, I'm so grateful. Also with a mantra, there could be a phrase that you write down or create. It's your go-to phrase that if you read that and say it out loud or whatever it is, it reminds you of the capital T truth. Because often everything that's happening is small in perspective. The things that matter are the small things, really. And so again, it doesn't matter what tools you use. And I'm happy to be creative and brainstorm with you if you're needing some more tools, but we have to use them.
I have a ringtone I just love, a song. I hate to answer my phone. I want to hear the song.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's great. See, exactly.
Yeah, so I know exactly what you're saying.
I love that. Well, and very similar to my alarm clock, right? So my alarm is a song. And then the second alarm is a different song. And then the third alarm is like, all right, get a little bass in there, like start moving. But the first one is just like, oh, it's like a sprinkle. It's like this, you know, it's just, so we have technology. Do we use technology? Right? So, you know, I always tell a lot of you, every hour when you're trying to make changes, it's more effort in the beginning because we're having to think about it. But the more you make changes, they go down in the body and you can't see, but like from the waist, it's like when you live your life from down here, you don't have to remember anything. Okay, but right now we're having to remember, okay, do this, do this, do this until it becomes a habit. But with technology, like in the beginning, when I'm, you know, trying to make changes, I set my alarm. It's such a pain in the butt, but every hour, a beautiful tone, a nice, loving note to myself, because you can change all of that on your phones. It can be very specific. So I see the encouraging words like, you got this, LeTa, with some emoticons, there's a sound, and then it reminds me. And I change up those triggers. And I think I mentioned to each of you that you habit stack, you know, every time you walk through a doorway or every time you're brushing your teeth, or, you know, it's like you get to really conduct how to make sure that your energy, again, you're not leaking, you're not blocking, You're staying in that flow. The path of least resistance, especially with gravity. And if we try to live in the future, our hip flexors get tight, right? Or like that energetically lean forward. So it's just a practice. We're just practicing. So what else? Do you have more questions for me? So this week, I really was, I wanting to make sure that you are starting to implement the foods and starting to implement the detox and whatnot. But this week was just from a content standpoint, was really about scanning our relationships. And many of you did the wheel. And again, you can't access the next module because again, I realized I set up this thing wrong in Thinkific. So I'm going to go back and deal with that tomorrow. But until then, my idea for this week for our conversation, if no one has questions, was, scanning all the different kinds of relationships and do we have extra energy to tend to some of those? But when I realized we have so much going on this week with you guys trying to do the detox and you trying to implement foods and the suggestions in the report of findings, that I was like, I don't want to give you more content. That really was my hit last night. So I just was thinking, let's just make sure that I'm answering your questions, or if there's anything you want to talk about. I felt like that was more best use of our time instead of me teaching you more things.
I was wondering about the quantity, like wheat germ is 1/4 of a cup, but also flaxseed is similar. So can you that's a lot in one day to have both of those. So can you combine or do one, do a couple of one thing, a couple of another?
Yeah. So it's unrealistic sometimes, I think, like the portions. I mean, I've looked at them all. It's like, it's a little unrealistic. It's kind of like going from 0 to 100. So what I've done, Barbara, is I usually will cut the dose in half. So I for you, it's like, I mean, with the psyllium husk, for me specifically, I don't know if you're taking that, but it's like very filling. It's like I can skip a meal, especially if I don't measure it. I made the mistake of not measuring it last week, and oh my God, I was full for hours. So yeah, I would suggest anytime we're starting something, if you can start small and trust yourself, like, yeah, just I would cut that in half. Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering if, sorry. I was wondering if you can overdose because what I'm doing right now is I have a cup of oatmeal with some blueberries, some Greek yogurt, a tablespoon of wheat germ, a tablespoon of flax meal, a tablespoon of chia seed, and some protein.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you don't need to do all of those because they overlap categories. So are you getting too full from it, Chris?
I'm getting full, but not too full. And
Oh,
I typically only eat like 2 meals, so that's like my main breakfast kind of lunch thing.
Okay, no, then you're fine. And remember, we're only doing this protocol. I mean, ideally, you're only doing this protocol so we can change the biomarkers in 3 months. Okay, that's what the data says. Now, we're all going to be staying in touch even after, depending if you guys like these Zooms and want to continue the Zooms, but we're going to want to switch up what you're doing. I mean, as soon as you change those biomarkers, that, there's food, the food is medicine protocol. And Barbara, this is why the amounts are kind of large, is for us to move the needle a little bit. And then we go back a little bit more into balance. Okay. So yeah, I mean, as long as you're not getting too full, Chris, and you're still able to get the 2 meals a day, then I'm okay with it on the short term. But if it's too much, then just alternate. Just like every other time you eat oatmeal, maybe don't do the chia seeds and like you can just decide on that. Yeah. Your body is giving you feedback. So like if you're too full in the stomach, like if it's too much to process all at once in your stomach, if you know, again, if you need blood in your head, or is your blood okay in your gut? So for me, when I do oatmeal, I usually do it on the weekends, because in the morning, I know that I need my blood in my brain, not in my gut. Okay. So I kind of strategize, and I try to get my good fats or my megas in my protein shake instead of the oatmeal. So again, I think for you, it's like understanding that hopefully throughout the week, doesn't have to be by the day, but you know, the more you can try to get everything in, will change those biomarkers faster. So that's the goal. But honestly, I mean, some patients need like beans 4 times a week, or, you know, 4 vegetables, you know, per meal. So it can kind of be a lot. So the reason we try to do as much food as possible is we do less supplements. Because as it is, most of us are taking a bunch of supplements. We're pretty full on them.
I have another question, and I know Chinese medicine is not that keen on like raw things because it's too cold, and I guess harder to digest. But I think one of the suggestions was mung beans, and I was wondering, you know, in the past I've just sprouted them and
Yeah.
eaten them like that. So is that an okay thing to do?
Yeah. And just so you know, it's very similar to like in Japan, they do miso soup before sushi. And I think maybe from the Mediterranean cultures, they do soup before salad. So all you have to do is just do something warm before doing something cold. So a 1/4 cup of warm to hot water, doesn't even have to be a cup of tea or a cup of soup. If you do 1/4 measuring cup or more of warm to hot water first, then you're saying, okay, spleen, you know, because the spleen doesn't like cold and damp. So, you know, then it's going to create mucus and you're going to store it in the phlegm in the lungs. So it's just like you know, I think I mentioned this before, but I always think of my spleen as like this sensitive amoeba, like a baby, really, like this fetus, like, oh, I don't like cold and damp. And so by giving it warm water, it's like being in the bathtub. It's like being in a womb. It's like you're giving the spleen the attention it wants, the warmth, the nurturing of the earth before the cold comes in. Bam. Yeah. It's kind of like, honestly, a metaphor, you know, with any relationship. You know, we got to warm up to people. You know, the people that are very direct, hey, 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 you know, like when you first meet them, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. The spleen's like, hold your horses. Now I'm going to have to stoke the kidney yang to get the spleen yang going to digest this food. It's a lot of energy. So you're just helping it out. And that's that whole idea of working with your body. Your body just wants to serve you. So we're just trying to make it easier because we realized I'm not in battle with my body. So as long as I can understand some fundamentals, you know, we'll do better. I mean, this morning at my fitness class, everybody's talking about the candy they're going to buy for Easter. And so one woman is like, well, I only buy non-sugar and all the kids hate me and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, but this year I think I'm going to buy some of the normal sugar candy. You know, so I just told her, I said, listen, this is what you do. I said, you're going to go buy some and I'll tell you where to get it, you know. And I was telling her, I'm like, we can get some gymnema leaf. We're going to sprinkle some in just a shot of juice, apple juice, you know, whatever, which is still sugar, but all the kids are going to do a shot. So that way they're getting in the blood sugar, you know, regulating herbs before they go crazy with all the Easter egg hunt. So you're just helping the body again. So it's just understanding that there's so many things. If we just keep our eyes open and stay present and able to connect with what we need, then it's so much easier to facilitate the experience that that we want to have. And remember, we're very in a short-term sprint right now in working with the body, giving the body corrective foods to change again. And I don't go into all this, but the endothelium lining and the, making sure so the arteries are not too hard for the cholesterol and the blood flow, again, it's like, we're not getting into like the deep why and the science behind it, because I don't think we need to. But I think that knowing that what you're doing is corrective, and then from there we can, this is catch up right now, and then we can get into another aspect of what does balance look like. Yeah, but right now we're not going to be balanced because we have a goal. Okay, and not balanced now looks like, God, okay, I get my pieces of paper out and I'm okay, I need to make my grocery list. Like, it's just more energy right now. But once we correct and free up those resources, those resources in your body that you're using for the low thyroid or the high blood pressure or the blood sugar, whatever it is, once we free that up and your body doesn't have to work so hard, then you'll have that extra chi available for whatever it is. Healthy aging, vitality, or, more physical exertion, thinking about world travel, hiking Machu Picchu. Like, again, it doesn't, I don't know, writing a book, like you can use that chi in the ways you want to, instead of the ways you have to. Yeah.
I have a question about the beet juice or the powder. It tastes terrible.
Oh, it does? Wait, really?
Yes, I
Oh, no.
really don't like it. So, but
Which one did you get?
I don't know. It's downstairs. It's just in the jar. I don't know whatever was on Full Script.
Oh, shoot. I was trying to be mindful.
'Cause
of
I
the
really
price.
don't like. I don't like certain.
Okay. So you might want to get the lozenge.
The what?
The lozenge, the thing that you suck on.
Oh,
It just was a lot more money. And so I always put the powder in the cart because it's cheaper.
well, I can tolerate if I put one scoop in
Okay.
a lot of water and use
Okay.
it raw. I can tolerate it. I can't tolerate more than one scoop. at
Okay.
all.
That's okay. If you can do one scoop. Yeah. Okay. I appreciate you telling me that.
Yeah, when I first started drinking, I was like, oh, I can't do this. This is like, no. But yeah, I can tolerate one scoop if there's enough water in it,
Okay. Okay. And one thing to note is, remember, you have to drink it within 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I have a straw, it's pretty easy.
Yeah. I just chug it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't mind the taste, but yeah, I guess we're all different.
Yeah. I'm sensitive to different tastes, so
Okay. Thanks for telling me that, Anne.
you're welcome.
Okay. So does anyone need a hand with anything? We can talk about anything.
I'm just adjusting to getting some kind of a routine in order. And since we started the liver cleanse, it's like, okay, I do that first thing in the morning. Dawn does it after lunch. And then we're doing these different things. And then anyway, it's just, and then my supplements, when to take my supplements with a liver routine. So I'm trying to get a routine down that's easy to follow.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, anytime we're meeting, and if you need some help, strategizing that. But like I said, it's always more energy in the beginning.
Yeah.
And hopefully by us running the blood, it's motivation. Because if we don't clear up these things, it's often a longer decline of vitality, right? Or sometimes it's just like then it becomes an emergency. And when we have an emergency that I've seen with patients, it's way more time, way more money, way more, it takes longer to recover, you know, and then, I mean, I don't think any of us you guys are not working, but for my patients that have a stroke or a heart attack or whatever it is, it's like, yeah, that's time off. It's not working. It just really affects things. So you're very smart to be taking the energy that we are taking now to course correct, right? Because all of us have bookmarked and pushed off. Maybe we've eaten too much sugar, drank too much, ate too many carbs. We've used that as strategy, our lifestyle, our habits as strategy. Especially, we're all coming off the pandemic. Maybe we moved our bodies less. Maybe there was stress. A lot of us had loss. So I want to remind each of us to give ourselves permission to, you know, be gentle on ourselves, understanding the bigger picture here, right? And again, it's like, it is like a reboot. And this is why we have this time and space long enough to make these changes for you to actually start seeing some results, right? So when we redo the blood and, you know, or you'll have a feeling like, okay, I actually feel different. So, but again, the physical takes a little longer to notice. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing core exercises every day and I still look down. I'm like, why do I still have a little roll here? It's like, oh yeah, it takes a while. It's like, we want results yesterday, but that's the sickness of our culture, right? That's the disease of a pill, fast, 57% more free, you know, whatever it is. But if you can continue to understand that we're just trying to be in harmony with the season we're in, the season that everybody's in, there's cycles, there's rhythms, there's short-term cycles, there's longer cycles. Okay. And it's individual and it's collective. And so it's really important to understand that you're not who you were 6 months ago or 2 years ago. So this is why what we're doing is very much for the moment. And you're not going to need to be doing these things in the next season, 3-6 months from now. Okay, we're going to be changing things up. Yeah. I heard that there was a tornado watch in Aptos yesterday.
Really?
Yep. Chris, have you been down to Santa Cruz before? I think you said yes.
Yes, I have been.
Yeah.
I
Chris is
actually
in San
went.
Francisco.
I went last year, I think, to the Monarch Butterfly Sanctuary,
Oh.
and then kept on going to Pacific Grove, which was
Oh,
even more spectacular.
it's pretty amazing. And next week, I mean, people are starting to head to Pinnacles for the flowers, you know, the blooms after all the rain. And
Yeah.
I would suggest maybe waiting a couple weeks because it can be muddy, but there is like a window. But yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
I had a question about dark meat chicken versus white meat chicken.
Okay.
Because I'm not a big fan of the dark meat. So is
Okay.
white meat okay? You know-
Yes. Yeah. You can do that.
What's the difference?
So dark meat contains more fat. So it's also richer in nutrients, contain more iron and zinc. So that's why often that's going to be more recommended. But yeah, you have to pick and choose. Like if you know that, then just know that, oh, okay, cook in olive oil, get the fat, or, you know, make sure that you're getting like Brazil nuts or, you know, get more iron in, or cook in an iron skillet, your white meat, right? But you're going to do lower heat because it's olive oil, or you can just add the olive oil on the end, but just by understanding that, you can adjust.
What about avocado oil instead of olive oil?
Oh, avocado oil is great.
Because I
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
can
know.
do high heat,
Yeah,
higher heat with that. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I know. Sometimes the suggestions, it's like, darn it. but it's okay. What are you gonna do? It's better than just taking a bunch of pills. It's good
Yes,
to know the food, you know? I mean, food is so interesting because, I told you I took a course on which foods secrete which neurotransmitters in the brain. So literally tracing back every single food that will affect your emotion, your mood. It's so powerful, so powerful. I mean, they say you are what you eat, but it's more of like how you feel is from the food you eat. There's so much history, and I think the food in general is very lost in this culture. We don't know the history of the food and the grains and like teff, right? From Africa, right? Like it's really interesting. Like as an herbalist, the thing that I think about is I know there's a solution for whatever's going on with us humans, right? Individually, because Mother Earth might have something in Brazil or something in Ecuador or something in China, southern China, like there might be a plant or an herb or, that will course correct the imbalance. But the part of the discovery is which herb, that kind of thing. So with food, they say that if you can look at your food, if you can prepare your food, ideally if you're growing the food, but if you can start to continue to have a relationship with the food, I mean, just even looking at your plate for 3 seconds before you eat it and look at the colors and notice and be grateful, say, okay, this is going to nourish me in the ways that I need most right now. And it's like, they say that if you can start to, change your emotional state, your physical state as you're eating, it's more important than what you're eating. And then if we take a step further, of course, it's what you're eating, So, I mean, if you're fighting with your partner or frustrated about something and you're looking at your phone while eating, then yeah, how is your body going to really feel nourished? We're going to tend to eat too fast. We're going to tend to not chew. And remember what I said before, chewing starts the saliva, gets that DNA, gets that gut microbiome, oral microbiome going. Like we want to chew our food. I mean, they say 22 times. I'm like, it's never going to happen. So yeah. So again, it's that connection, because the more you're connected to yourself and to what you're doing, the less we're going to seek outside sources for that fulfillment. And then again, how you do anything is how you do everything. Everything you do will affect everything else. So that's why we start with ourselves. It's just an inside job.
Yeah, I heard somebody say it rather than, like chewing 32 times or so. And, it changes with the consistency of the food. You chew however long it takes to not recognize what you put in.
Mm.
So it's like just mush.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're eating, right? Like, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we often don't prepare food because I don't think we're trained as chefs, but I ran a health program in town and I had a chef come in and teach us how to cook, because when you design your meals based on the 5 flavors, then you tend to feel more satiated. And this is why that very simple hack with guacamole, the reason people want to keep adding chips, because they don't add the beans. But when you add some pinto beans or something to the guacamole, even mashing them up, it just creates, like, with that extra protein, like this more satisfying, so you eat less guacamole. It's not that eating a lot of guacamole is bad, but most likely it comes along with the chips. So there's little things like that, and realizing that if we can start to, this is why eating with the seasons is so amazing, because then every season there's going to be different vegetables and different fruits available to us, okay, to change things up. So again, your pancreas and your spleen and your gallbladder is like, oh, okay, this is the season. I'm going to secrete these enzymes. And then next time, you eat something else, it's, oh, okay, I'm going to secrete these enzymes. So it's really important to be mixing things up, not just for the neuroplasticity. Yeah. So we can continue to change who we are, really. I can't believe no one's written a book, I love you and you can't stay that way. Really great questions. Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you can think of?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay, well, I see you all on my calendar every week, which is amazing. As always, if you need anything in between, just give me a call, shoot me an email, shoot me a text. Okay? I think you're doing great, but just remember, don't get lost on your own. Like if you need me, please reach out. We'll figure out something.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right. I will, I'll talk to you all soon.
All right. Thank
Have a
you.
great day.
You too.
Okay,
I
Bye.
bye.